The sun had just begun to stretch its rays across the city skyline as Eleanor Smith, a 75-year-old retired teacher, opened her eyes to another day. Her small, cozy apartment was bathed in the soft light of dawn. The mementos and photographs on her walls a testament to a life well lived. As Eleanor went about her daily routine, she paused to gaze at the picture of her late husband, a gentle smile playing on her lips. Today was a special day, for it marked the anniversary of their first meeting. It was a tradition she upheld with great fondness, to celebrate their love by visiting the restaurant where it all began. Eleanor took extra care in choosing her outfit, settling on a simple yet elegant dress that reminded her of their first date. She hummed softly to herself as she applied a hint of makeup, her wrinkled hands working with practiced ease. Before leaving the apartment, she took a deep breath and looked around, her heart swelling with gratitude for the life she had lived. The high-end restaurant, famous for its exquisite cuisine and exclusive clientele, stood tall and proud in the heart of the city. As Eleanor approached the entrance, she felt a flutter of nerves, the weight of memories flooding her senses. Upon entering the lavishly decorated space, she was met with the aroma of fine food and the gentle murmur of conversation. The patrons, dressed in their finest, glanced her way, their eyes quickly dismissing her as someone of no consequence. Eleanor was shown to her table by a young waiter who seemed to be doing his best to avoid her gaze. She settled into her seat, the familiar surroundings bringing warmth to her heart despite the cool reception. As the evening progressed, Eleanor enjoyed her meal, each bite stirring fond memories of shared laughter and whispered secrets with her late husband. As she reached for her purse to pay the bill, her heart dropped. Her wallet was missing. Panic rising in her chest, she searched her bag in vain, her face flushed with embarrassment. It was then that Richard Adams, the restaurant manager, approached her table, his eyes, cold and calculating, bored into hers as he spoke in a voice dripping with disdain. "Madam, if you cannot afford to dine here, perhaps you should have thought twice before entering our establishment." Eleanor, her voice trembling, tried to explain her situation, but Richard was unmoved. He raised his voice, ensuring that everyone in the restaurant could hear their exchange. "Your kind has no place here. You're an embarrassment to our esteemed clientele." As the other patrons looked on, some with pity and others with barely concealed contempt, Eleanor felt her world crumbling around her. The humiliation stung like 1,000 needles, and the cruel irony of her predicament, a woman whose family's contributions to the city were immense, yet unknown, weighed heavily on her heart. Little did they know, their worlds were about to be shaken by the truth of Eleanor's family legacy. As the tension in the restaurant grew thicker, the hum of conversation that once filled the air was replaced with an uncomfortable silence. Eleanor's cheeks burned with humiliation, her eyes welling up with tears as she struggled to hold on to her dignity in the face of Richard's relentless scorn. Richard, basking in the attention of the restaurant's patrons, seemed to revel in Eleanor's suffering. He sneered at her, his voice dripping with condescension. "You think you can just walk in here, dressed like that, pretending to belong? I don't know what fantasy world you live in, but people like you don't belong here." The words cut deep, and Eleanor's voice shook as she attempted to defend herself. "I've dined here for years, and my husband and I have always been treated with respect. I don't know why you're doing this, but I assure you, it's a mistake." Richard scoffed, his gaze sweeping over the onlookers, seeking validation for his actions. "A mistake? The only mistake here is that you thought you could deceive us all." The whispers of the other patrons grew louder, their judgments echoing through the room as they sided with Richard. Eleanor's heart ached with the weight of their disdain, each remark a stab at her self-worth. Amidst the drama, a young waitress watched the scene unfold, her heart heavy with sympathy for Eleanor. As she hesitantly approached the table, she locked eyes with Eleanor, offering a brief moment of comfort and understanding. "Excuse me, sir," the waitress interjected, addressing Richard with a quiver in her voice. I found this wallet on the floor earlier. It might belong to the lady." She handed the wallet to Eleanor, whose face lit up with relief and gratitude. Richard's expression darkened, his eyes narrowing as he tried to regain control of the situation. "Well, even if you can pay, you've caused enough of a scene. I expect you to leave immediately." As Eleanor stood to leave, her heart heavy with disappointment and sorrow, the young waitress whispered an apology, her eyes brimming with tears. Eleanor offered her a weak smile, the first spark of hope ignited within her. Little did they know that the threads of Eleanor's past were beginning to unravel, revealing a history that would change everything they thought they knew. The storm of emotions and revelations was far from over, for the truth of Eleanor's family legacy was about to come to light. As Eleanor left the restaurant, she couldn't help but be reminded of her childhood, when she learned the importance of compassion and kindness. Growing up in a humble home, she was raised by loving parents who taught her the value of helping others and giving back to the community. Her father, a successful businessman, and her mother, a dedicated nurse, had left an indelible mark on the city through their generosity and vision. It was their legacy that drove Eleanor to become a teacher, striving to shape the minds and hearts of future generations. Over the years, she had made her own contributions to the city, always working in the shadows, never seeking recognition for her deeds. Her parents had instilled in her the belief that true goodness comes from the heart, without the need for public praise. As Eleanor walked through the streets, she passed by a park where children played, their laughter filling the air. She was reminded of her family's contributions to the city, the parks, libraries, and community centers that had been funded by their wealth and commitment to helping others. And yet, the people in the restaurant had judged her based on her appearance, ignorant of the impact her family had made on their lives. In the days following her humiliation at the restaurant, Eleanor found herself flooded with messages of support from friends, former students, and even strangers. Word of her ordeal had spread throughout the city, and with it came the revelation of her family's legacy. A local journalist, digging deeper into the story, had discovered the truth about the Smith family's contributions to the city. The article, published in the city's largest newspaper, painted a vivid picture of the incredible impact Eleanor's family had made over the years. The news sent shockwaves through the community, shattering their preconceived notions of the humble old woman they had so harshly judged. As people began to connect the dots, they realized the extent of Eleanor's own contributions. The school where she had taught for decades had thrived because of her dedication, and countless students had gone on to achieve great things, inspired by her teachings and kindness. Back at the restaurant, Richard's arrogance was replaced with disbelief and shame as he read the article. He realized, too late, the magnitude of his mistake. The once exclusive and highly regarded establishment found itself on the receiving end of public outrage, as customers canceled their reservations and left scathing reviews. The revelation of Eleanor's family legacy had shifted the dynamics of the city, exposing the hypocrisy and shallow judgments that had prevailed for far too long. As the dust began to settle, it was clear that Eleanor's story was far from over. The consequences of that fateful evening were only just beginning to unfold. In the wake of the revelations surrounding Eleanor's family legacy, the city found itself grappling with a newfound understanding of the true meaning of worth and compassion. Richard, his reputation tarnished, was forced to confront the consequences of his actions. The restaurant's owner, deeply disappointed in Richard's behavior, decided it was time for a change in management. As Richard packed his belongings and prepared to leave the restaurant, he was approached by the young waitress who had stood up for Eleanor that night. Her name was Lucy, and she had been inspired by Eleanor's kindness and resilience. Lucy handed Richard a letter, her voice firm yet compassionate. "Eleanor asked me to give this to you." Richard hesitantly opened the envelope, his heart pounding as he read Eleanor's words. In her letter, Eleanor expressed her forgiveness and urged Richard to learn from his mistakes. She wrote of the importance of empathy and understanding, explaining that true strength lies in the ability to recognize and grow from our shortcomings. This unexpected act of mercy stirred something within Richard, a glimmer of remorse and humility that had been absent for far too long. He realized that his relentless pursuit of status and wealth had left him devoid of the very qualities that made Eleanor so beloved by those who knew her. As the city continued to grapple with the revelations of Eleanor's family legacy, it became clear that her story had ignited a spark of change. People began to reassess their priorities, placing greater importance on kindness, generosity, and empathy. Community initiatives sprang up throughout the city, inspired by the example set by the Smith family. Eleanor, touched by the outpouring of support and understanding, found solace in the knowledge that her family's legacy would continue to inspire and uplift future generations. She became an even more active member of her community, her wisdom and kindness a guiding force for those around her. Richard, his world upended by Eleanor's forgiveness, began a journey of self-discovery and redemption. He sought out opportunities to give back to the community, embracing the lessons he had learned from his encounter with Eleanor. Lucy, now promoted to manager of the restaurant, implemented changes to create a more inclusive and welcoming atmosphere. The establishment, once notorious for its elitism, became a place where people from all walks of life could gather and enjoy a meal together, united by their shared love of good food and warm company. In the wake of Eleanor's story, the city found itself transformed, its residents embracing the values of empathy, compassion, and understanding. The once humble old woman had left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who had once judged her so harshly, proving that true worth and strength come from within. And as the sun rose on a new day, it became clear that the legacy of Eleanor Smith and her family would continue to shape the city for generations to come. Months had passed since the dramatic events that had shaken the city and reshaped its values. Eleanor's influence had grown, and her story became a symbol of the triumph of compassion and understanding over prejudice and arrogance. But with this newfound respect and admiration came a shadow, the weight of expectations and the scrutiny of those who had once dismissed her. Eleanor found herself caught in a delicate balance, attempting to maintain her humility while shouldering the responsibility of her family's legacy. She began to feel the pressure of her role as a community leader, the constant demands of her time, and the expectations that she would always know the right course of action. As she navigated this new world, Eleanor discovered that the very qualities that had endeared her to the city, her kindness, her empathy, and her quiet strength, were now being tested in unexpected ways. One day, as Eleanor walked through the city streets, she noticed a group of people gathered in front of a dilapidated building. Their voices were raised in frustration and anger, their faces etched with worry and despair. Eleanor approached the crowd, her innate curiosity and concern guiding her steps. She learned that the building was once a community center, a place where people from all walks of life had gathered to learn, grow, and support one another. But years of neglect had left it crumbling and unsafe, its doors closed to the very people who needed it most. Eleanor knew that this was a challenge she could not ignore. She recognized the importance of a place like this, a haven for those seeking solace and companionship in an often uncaring world. And so, she made a decision. She would use her influence and resources to help restore the community center to its former glory. As Eleanor embarked on this new journey, she found herself faced with obstacles and setbacks. She encountered bureaucratic hurdles and resistance from those who believed that the center was beyond saving. But Eleanor remained steadfast, her resolve fueled by the knowledge that she was making a difference in the lives of those who needed it most. The people of the city, inspired by Eleanor's determination, rallied around her cause. They volunteered their time and skills, working side by side to bring the community center back to life. And as the building slowly transformed, so too did the hearts of those who had once doubted Eleanor's ability to lead. As Eleanor faced this new challenge, she realized that the shadow of success was not a burden to be carried alone. It was an opportunity to share her wisdom and strength with others, to inspire them to come together and create a brighter future for themselves and their city. And in the end, it was this spirit of unity and determination that brought the community center and the city back to life. As the community center came to life once more, its doors open and filled with laughter and learning, Eleanor's influence on the city continued to grow. However, not everyone was pleased with the changes she had brought about. In the shadows, there were those who clung to their old ways and prejudices, resistant to the lessons of empathy and understanding that Eleanor had championed. Among them was a man named George, who had once been a prominent businessman in the city. He had lost much of his wealth and influence due to his stubborn refusal to adapt to the changing times. Bitter and resentful, George saw Eleanor's success as a personal affront and believed that the city had lost its way under her guidance. Determined to restore what he perceived as the natural order of things, George began to quietly undermine Eleanor's efforts. He spread rumors and falsehoods, sowing doubt and mistrust among the people, hoping to tarnish her reputation and bring about her downfall. Eleanor, for her part, remained unaware of George's machinations, focusing instead on her work at the community center and her ongoing efforts to better the city. Her unwavering optimism and compassion continued to inspire those around her, even as the seeds of doubt began to take root in the hearts of some. It wasn't long before Eleanor found herself facing a new challenge, one that would test her character and her belief in the inherent goodness of people. As the rumors and whispers grew louder, she was confronted with the harsh reality that even her kindness and generosity could not shield her from the darkness that dwelled within the hearts of some. Faced with this new obstacle, Eleanor was forced to confront her own pride and the prejudices that had taken root in her city. She would need to draw upon her strength and resilience to weather the storm and continue her mission of bringing hope and understanding to those who needed it most. In this chapter of her story, Eleanor would discover that the greatest challenges often come from within, and that the truest measure of a person's character lies in their ability to rise above adversity and remain true to their values, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As the city thrived under Eleanor's influence, it became all too easy for some to forget the lessons of humility and empathy that had brought about this transformation. In their newfound success, they began to feel invincible, their confidence and pride slowly giving way to arrogance. Among those who had been swept up in this wave of self-assurance was Lucy, the young manager of the once exclusive restaurant. Under her guidance, the establishment had become a beacon of inclusivity and togetherness. But as the accolades poured in and the restaurant's reputation grew, Lucy found herself struggling to maintain the balance between ambition and compassion. In her pursuit of success, she began to make decisions that prioritized profit over people, forgetting the very principles that had led to her rise. This shift in values did not go unnoticed by the restaurant's staff and patrons, and whispers of discontent began to grow louder. It was on a seemingly ordinary day that the consequences of Lucy's choices came to a head. Eleanor, hearing rumors of the changes at the restaurant, decided to pay a visit and see for herself what was happening. As she walked through the doors, she was struck by the familiar air of elitism and exclusion that had once defined the establishment. Disappointed and concerned, Eleanor sought out Lucy for a conversation. As they sat down together, Eleanor gently confronted her about the changes she had noticed. Lucy, her pride wounded, initially bristled at the criticism, but as Eleanor continued to speak, the truth of her words began to resonate. Eleanor reminded Lucy of the importance of staying true to one's values, even in the face of success and temptation. She spoke of her own struggles with pride and the dangers of losing sight of the lessons that had brought them to where they were today. As they spoke, the weight of her actions began to settle heavily on Lucy's shoulders, and she realized the error of her ways. Determined to make amends and restore the restaurant to its former glory, Lucy committed herself to re-evaluating her priorities and placing the needs of her staff and patrons above her own ambitions. Together with Eleanor, they embarked on a journey to rebuild the restaurant's reputation, one founded on the principles of empathy, humility, and compassion. This unexpected reckoning served as a stark reminder to Eleanor, Lucy, and the people of the city that success and progress are only worthwhile when accompanied by a steadfast commitment to the values that define us. It was a lesson that would continue to shape their lives and the future of the city for years to come. As the city continued to grapple with the consequences of pride and arrogance, another figure found himself facing a reckoning of his own. Richard, the former restaurant manager, had been on a path of self-discovery and redemption since his fall from grace. He had worked tirelessly to atone for his past actions and to prove that he was capable of change. However, Richard's journey was not without its struggles. In his quest for forgiveness, he found that some wounds ran deeper than others, and that not everyone was willing to accept his attempts to make amends. The bitterness and resentment that still lingered among those he had hurt served as a constant reminder of the damage his actions had caused. Despite these setbacks, Richard remained determined to make a difference and to prove that he was capable of growth and change. But as he continued on his path, he realized that true redemption would require more than just apologies and good deeds. It would demand a willingness to confront the darkest parts of himself and to learn from the pain he had caused. Undeterred by the challenges that lay before him, Richard set out on a journey that would test the limits of his resilience and perseverance. He sought out those he had wronged, offering heartfelt apologies and lending a helping hand wherever he could. He took on volunteer work, immersing himself in the very community that he had once scorned. Slowly, Richard began to make a difference in the lives of those around him. And as he did, he found that he was not only repairing the damage he had caused, but also healing the wounds within his own heart. The road to redemption was long and arduous, but with each small victory, Richard found himself growing stronger and more capable of facing the challenges that lay ahead. Meanwhile, Eleanor and Lucy continued their work at the restaurant, their renewed commitment to empathy and understanding serving as an inspiration to others. And as they watched Richard's journey unfold, they found themselves reflecting on their own struggles and the lessons they had learned along the way. Together, these three individuals, bound by their shared experiences and their unwavering dedication to their values, forged a new path for themselves and their city. Their stories served as a testament to the power of redemption, the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring nature of hope and forgiveness. And as they walked the road to redemption, they discovered that the greatest reward lay not in the accolades or achievements they had accumulated, but in the knowledge that they had made a difference in the lives of those around them, leaving the world a better place than they had found it. As the city continued to heal and grow under the influence of Eleanor, Lucy, and Richard, the threads of their lives began to intertwine in ways they could never have predicted. The chance encounter at the community center revealed a shared connection between Eleanor and Richard. They had both grown up in the same neighborhood, their childhood homes mere blocks apart. This revelation sparked a curiosity in both of them, as they realized that their pasts had been intertwined long before they ever crossed paths as adults. Intrigued by this newfound knowledge, they began to delve deeper into their shared history, eager to uncover the extent of their connection and the role it may have played in shaping their lives. As Eleanor and Richard began to explore their shared past, they discovered a wealth of memories and experiences that had shaped their respective journeys. They found that, as children, they had played in the same parks, attended the same schools, and had even shared a few mutual friends. In their quest to uncover the threads that connected their lives, they found themselves revisiting the places that had once been their sanctuaries, the tree-lined streets where they had learned to ride bikes, the corner store that had been the source of countless after-school treats, and the old community center, where they had both spent countless hours as children. As they retraced the steps of their youth, Eleanor and Richard found themselves reconnecting with a part of themselves that had long been dormant, the wide-eyed innocence and boundless optimism that had defined their childhood. They began to share stories of their younger selves, the dreams they had once held dear, and the lessons they had learned along the way. Through these shared experiences, Eleanor and Richard discovered a newfound appreciation for the paths that had led them to where they were today. They came to understand that their pasts were not merely a series of disconnected events, but a rich tapestry of experiences that had shaped their values, their dreams, and their destinies. As they continued to rekindle their past, Eleanor and Richard found that their unexpected connection was not only a testament to the enduring nature of their bond, but also a reminder of the importance of cherishing the memories and experiences that define us. In the end, it was this shared journey into their past that brought Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy closer than ever before, forging a friendship that would stand the test of time and serve as the foundation for a brighter, more compassionate future for their city. As Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy continued to navigate the challenges and triumphs of their individual journeys, they found solace and strength in the knowledge that they were not alone in their struggles. Each faced their own demons, Eleanor with the weight of her family's legacy, Richard with the burden of his past mistakes, and Lucy with the challenge of reconciling ambition and compassion. Through their shared experiences, they discovered that they were stronger together than they were apart, their unique perspectives and strengths complementing one another in unexpected ways. They formed an unbreakable bond, one that transcended their personal histories and the circumstances that had brought them together. As they leaned on one another for support, they found themselves drawing strength from their shared struggle, their resilience and determination only growing stronger as they faced each new challenge head-on. They began to realize that it was not their individual accomplishments or failures that defined them, but the unyielding spirit that they shared, the unwavering belief in the power of hope, redemption, and the resilience of the human spirit. In their darkest moments, when the weight of their burdens threatened to overwhelm them, they found solace in one another's company, their shared struggles serving as a reminder that they were not alone. They knew that they could rely on one another to provide the support and encouragement they needed to continue moving forward, no matter how difficult the journey. As they faced each new obstacle, Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy drew strength from the knowledge that they were part of something greater than themselves, a community of people bound by their shared commitment to empathy, understanding, and the pursuit of a better world. Their shared struggle was not just a testament to their own resilience and determination, but also a symbol of the power of unity and the strength that can be found in the bonds we forge with those around us. Through their unwavering support for one another, they showed that even the most daunting challenges can be overcome when we stand together, united by a shared purpose and a steadfast belief in our ability to rise above adversity. As the bond between Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy grew stronger, they found themselves reflecting on the paths that had led them to this moment, their lives a testament to the power of redemption, resilience, and the transformative nature of empathy. It was in these moments of reflection that they began to see the parallels between their journeys, the challenges they had faced, and the lessons they had learned along the way. Eleanor, the sign of a powerful family, had struggled with the weight of her family's expectations, ultimately discovering that her greatest strength lay in her ability to connect with others and foster a sense of unity and understanding. Richard, the once arrogant manager, had learned the hard way that power and influence were only worthwhile when wielded with compassion and humility. His journey of redemption had taught him the importance of empathy and the transformative power of forgiveness. And Lucy, the ambitious young woman who had found herself caught between the allure of success and the responsibility she felt towards her community, had discovered that true fulfillment could only be achieved when ambition and compassion walk hand in hand. As Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy continued to navigate the challenges and triumphs of their lives, they found themselves at a turning point, a moment in time when their paths began to converge, and their shared experiences began to shape the course of their city's future. It was in this moment that they realized the true power of their bond, their shared struggles serving as a catalyst for change, inspiring others to embrace the values of empathy, humility, and understanding that had come to define their lives. As they stood at this crossroads, they knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, and that they would face countless obstacles and challenges along the way. But they also knew that they were stronger together than they were apart, and that their shared commitment to these values would be the key to unlocking a brighter future for themselves and their city. Together, Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy embarked on the next chapter of their journey, their lives forever intertwined by the lessons they had learned and the bond they had forged. As they faced each new challenge head-on, they found solace in the knowledge that they were not alone, their shared struggle a testament to the transformative power of empathy, understanding, and the resilience of the human spirit. As they stood at the turning point, they knew that they held the keys to their own destinies, and that their choices and actions would shape the course of their lives and the future of their city. And with each step they took, they moved closer to the brighter, more compassionate world they had all dreamed of, their lives forever changed by the power of their shared journey. The city, once marred by pride and arrogance, had begun to heal and grow under the influence of Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy. As they persevered through their own challenges, they inspired others to embrace empathy, humility, and understanding. Their shared journey served as a beacon of hope for those who had once felt lost or disillusioned, a reminder that it was possible to rise above adversity and build a brighter future. United by their shared experiences, the people of the city began to come together in ways they never had before. Old grudges faded away, replaced by a spirit of cooperation and mutual support. Through their collective efforts, they began to address the issues that had plagued their community for generations, from poverty and inequality to the environment and education. With each small victory, the city found itself moving closer to the world that Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy had envisioned, a world defined by compassion, understanding, and the power of human connection. As the city continued to grow and change, the triumphs of Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy served as a testament to the power of the human spirit. Their unwavering commitment to their values and their determination to rise above the challenges they faced had inspired countless others to follow in their footsteps. In their darkest moments, when doubt and despair threatened to overwhelm them, they had found solace in one another, their shared struggles serving as a reminder that they were not alone. Their bond had given them the strength to persevere, to overcome their obstacles, and to build a brighter future for themselves and their city. In the end, their story was not just a tale of individual triumph, but of the power of unity and the strength that could be found in the bonds they forged with one another. Their journey had shown that even the most daunting challenges could be overcome when people came together, united by a shared purpose and a steadfast belief in their ability to rise above adversity. As they stood at the dawn of a new era, Eleanor, Richard, and Lucy knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges and setbacks, but they also knew that they had the strength and the support of one another to see them through. And as they faced each new obstacle, they were reminded of the power of their shared journey and the triumph of the spirit that had brought them to this point. Together, they looked towards the future, their hearts filled with hope and determination, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that they had the power to shape their own destinies and create the world they had always dreamed of. If you liked today's story, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends and family. Let's spread the love and inspiration together.